وَإِذَا قِيلَ انشُزُوا فَانشُزُوا يَرْفَعِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنكُمْ وَالَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ دَرَجَاتٍ وَاللَّهُ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ خَبِيرٌ.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونتوب إليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، فإن خير الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. So tonight inshallah we'll continue talking about Salat al-Jumu'ah. So in the last 2 weeks we spoke about the virtues of Salat al-Jumu'ah, and we spoke about the rules, the number of people, the time of Salat al-Jumu'ah. Now we'll come to Khutbah al-Jumu'ah. As we know, brothers, that Salat al-Jumu'ah proceeded by the khutbah, and this was what the Prophet ﷺ used to do all the time. So all the time, the Nabi ﷺ used to start by the khutbah. Then after the khutbah, the Nabi ﷺ will pray the 2 rak'ah for al-Jumu'ah. And as you remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to attend Salat al-Jumu'ah in the last ayahs of Surah al-Jumu'ah. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. O you who believe, when the call is proclaimed for Salat al-Jumu'ah, hasten unto the remembrance of Allah and leave all the business transactions, and this is better for you if you know. So this ayah is clear that Khutbah al-Jumu'ah is dhikr Allah, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here said فَاسْعَوْا إِلَى ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. Now obviously dhikr Allah in this regard means the khutbah, because this is what the Prophet ﷺ used to start with. Start with the khutbah, then the salah. And we know the khutbah starts after adhan al-Jumu'ah or adhan al-Dhuhr on that day. So the understanding of the scholars that the command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the believers to hasten to dhikr Allah means go to attend the khutbah first, then the salah. And the hadith, which is narrated in different books, that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli." Pray as you see me pray. So this is the general rule. Now, part of the way that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to pray is that he prays Salat al-Jumu'ah, and the first part of Salat al-Jumu'ah will be the khutbah, then after that the salah. This is why the majority of the people of knowledge are of the opinion that Khutbah al-Jumu'ah is obligatory, and they support this by The confirmed hadith which state that the Prophet ﷺ always made the khutbah with the Jumu'ah, and in their support they also quote the saying of the Prophet ﷺ, pray as you see me pray. Now, the ayah, the hadith, clear proves that khutbah al-Jumu'ah is obligatory. Now, Imam al-Shawkani in his book Nail al-Awtar refutes this argument by saying that the hadith simply states the action of the Prophet ﷺ and does not necessarily prove that such an action is obligatory. And he's also saying, as to the verse, he regards it as simply as a command to be present at the salah, which is obligatory and excludes the khutbah. And he's saying also regarding their argument relating to the commandments to hasten unto the remembrance of Allah, he says it refers to salah only, which is the real cause of making haste. There is, however, an agreement that the Friday salah is obligatory, while there is a dispute over whether the khutbah is obligatory or not. So this is what Imam Shawkani is saying. Shawkani concludes by saying that apparently the correct view is the one held by Al-Hasan al-Basri, Dawood az-Zuhri and al-Juwayni, that the khutbah is only a highly recommended act. Now, what Shawkani said is refuted by Sheikh Nasir Din Albani rahmatullah alayhi in his book Tamam al-Minna fi at-Ta'liq ala Fiqh, as-Sunnah. And he mentioned that when the Prophet ﷺ used all the time to do something without leaving it at all, this means this is obligatory. Because if it is not obligatory, then Nabi ﷺ might leave it once and do it another time. But if the hadiths from Bukhari, Muslim, and all the scholars, they are saying that the Prophet ﷺ all the time he used to make khutbah, and this is happened from the first day that Muslims started their state, let us say, or their political body in Al-Madinah. So Nabi ﷺ, when he arrived in Medina, after he arrived, he made khutbah al-Jumu'ah and salat al-Jumu'ah. This shows us the importance of salat al-Jumu'ah and khutbah al-Jumu'ah. Nabi ﷺ didn't leave it, even he was just trying to settle at that time, and then he continued doing this through his life, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. So the argument of the Shawkani that اسعوا إلى ذكر الله doesn't include the salah is not true, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع. Now when the people, they leave the business, when they leave the business, on the salah time or the khutbah time? The khutbah time, because at that time the adhan will be called. The adhan will not be called in the salah, the adhan will be called to start the khutbah. This means that when we start the khutbah, this is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned here فَاسْعَوْا إِلَى ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَذَرُوا الْبَيْعَ. And also the hadith, the two hadith that we mentioned, one of them صَلُّوا كَمَا رَأَيْتُمُونِي صَلِّي, is a clear proof that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to do it, and it is obligatory, and we shall carry with this all the time to follow the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. And when you look at the Muslim Ummah history, you'll find all the time the Muslim Ummah followed this opinion that al-khutbah is part of Salat al-Jumu'ah, and doesn't matter what is the situation of the Ummah, the people, they used to pray Salat al-Jumu'ah all the time. Now here we have to understand, this doesn't mean that if you miss khutbah al-Jumu'ah, this means that you missed the salah, which is I will explain later inshallah. So we have to differentiate between that. Is the khutbah part of the salah or not? It is part of the salah. So Salat al-Jumu'ah, the first part is the salah, the second part is the first part is the khutbah, and the second part is the salah. So this is, and both of them obligatory. So Salat, Khutbah al-Jumu'ah fard, and Salat al-Jumu'ah also fard. Now, when the Imam comes, as the Prophet ﷺ used to do, so he used to come from one of the rooms which were around the masjid, and when he entered, he makes salam on the people. Then he would sit down, and then Bilal will call the adhan. This was the manhaj, the way of the Prophet ﷺ on a Friday. So the Sheikh Sayyid Sabiq saying, the Imam should greet the people when he comes up on the pulpit, the minbar, followed by the adhan, which is to be made when he sits. The Imam should face the people during the adhan. Jabir reports that when the Prophet ﷺ mounted the pulpit, he would greet the people. This is related by Ibn Majah, and in its chain is Ibn Luhay'a, and Al-Athram has recorded it in his Sunan from Ash-Sha'bi on the authority of the Prophet ﷺ in mursal form. Ata and all others also reported in mursal form that when the Prophet ﷺ moved to the top of the pulpit, he would turn to the people and say, peace be upon you, Assalamu alaikum. According to Ash-Sha'bi, Abu Bakr and Umar used to do that also. Now, Shaykh Nasruddin Albani, rahmatullah alayhi, he authenticated the hadith that the Nabi ﷺ used to face the people and say, Assalamu alaikum. Because here Sayyid Sabiq, when he mentioned Ibn Luhay'a, one of the narrators, and when he became a little bit old, he started to forget. So they are saying there is some hadith when he was young, so his hadiths are authentic, but when he became old, he started to forget, and then he, if he's in the chain, this means that this hadith is weak. Asa'ib ibn Yazid informs the first adhan to salah made on the day of Jumu'ah was made when the Imam sat up on the pulpit during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, Abu Bakr and Umar. Then during the time of Uthman, since there were many people, he instituted a third adhan outside the masjid. The Prophet ﷺ only had one mu'adhin, and this is related by al-Bukhari, al-Nisai, and Abu Dawud. In other narration, it is stated during the time of Uthman there were many people, so Uthman ordered the people to make a third call to Salah on the day of Jumu'ah outside the masjid, and that practice has continued. Now we have to understand this matter clearly, because you hear here, while I am reading this, you heard third adhan, and the people will say, well, even in our Muslim countries, there are two adhans only, so why we have third adhan? Now, first of all, we have to, when they talk about third adhan, they are including the iqamah. So the iqamah considered as adhan. So, as I mentioned earlier, in the time Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he used to come, Bilal make the adhan, so it was one adhan and one iqamah. And this was the situation during Umar Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu time, and during Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu time. Now, in the time of Uthman, Muslims in Medina became more and more, and it started to take them time to come to the masjid. So Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu ordered one of the muaddin to call the adhan earlier, to call the first adhan earlier, maybe half an hour before the proper salah. And that adhan is to prepare the people, that the people, they know that in say 20 minutes, 30 minutes, there is Salatul Jumu'ah, So they have to finish what they are doing and get ready for the Jumu'ah, because when the adhan on time will be called, then they have to stop everything they are doing and move to the masjid. Now, some people will say, in this case, Uthman created a bid'ah because there wasn't adhan in the time of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, the second and the third. Now, we have to say this is not bid'ah. Uthman ibn Affan, he just asked the people, he done that for a reason, and that reason is for bringing the people to the masjid. Uthman, he didn't say this is something you have to do. Uthman make ijtihad in this mas'ala. And the ijtihad for the imam of the Muslim is allowed. The mujtahid, the scholar, if there is imam of the Muslims, if there is scholar of Muslims, and he found there is what they call it maslahah, there is benefit for the Muslim ummah in applying something which is not contrary with the deen, goes with the spirit of the deen, goes with the rules of the deen, the imam, the mujtahid, can introduce that and this can be applied. But it is not that I say, okay, 4 rak'ah before dhuhr is not enough, I'd like to do more, so let me add two more now. Dua 100 is not enough, let me make it 1000 and say 1000, you have to do 1000 every day. If someone he'd like to sit and say subhanallah wa bihamdihi 1000, no problem. Because the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he spoke about this, he said, say subhanallah, the one who says subhanallah wa bihamdihi 100 times, no one on the day of judgment will come better than him, except when he exceeded them. So if someone he'd like to do 200, that's fine. Someone sat in the masjid between Dhuhr and Asr and he made it 1000 times, no problem. Where is the problem? The problem is if a person sat in the masjid, made 1000 subhanallah wa bihamdihi, and he found that's fine, he found, maybe his heart moved or his iman increased, and say, okay, this means that 1000 is the solution for this. So he stand there and he said, brothers, from my experience, if you'd like to nourish your heart, to renew your iman, sit in the masjid between Dhuhr and Asr and make 1000. Not 9999. No, it must be 1000. And you have to do this every day. If you don't do it every day, then you will not reach this level. Now, this is bid'ah. This is bid'ah. When you apply something in your experience, if something you think it is fine, and you'd like to force the people in it, now it comes bid'ah. But if someone he'd like to do it by himself, and not say, okay, I have to do it every day, and consider this sunnah, there's no problem. The thing is, where is the bid'ah? When you create something in the deen, and you say this is the sunnah, and you'll say to the people, you have to do this. And this is what we will find the mutasawwifa they are doing, the Sufis. This is what they do. In all their adhkar, in all their things, they consider you have to do this. I'll give you an example. Now we know that you can make dua after the salah. There is no problem making dua after the salah. There is no hadith to say that the Prophet ﷺ used to sit and make dua in congregation after the salah. The Imam will sit and Allahumma ighfir lana warhamna wa tub alayna wa tajawaz an sayyiatina, Ameen, 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 and say the same thing every day. There is no authentic hadith to say that the Prophet ﷺ used to do that. Now when the Imam sits, in some masajid, if the Imam doesn't make dua after the salah, they say there's something wrong with him. What's wrong with this Imam? And maybe they will ask for his removal. You say, you don't make dua for us? Why you are there then? Subhanallah. Brothers, the dua is something between you and your Lord. You don't have to sit and the Imam will make dua. And after a while, the dua in itself loses the sense of it. Because you will hear the same words every day, every day, every day, every day. So that people say, Amin, Amin, Amin. And they, maybe some will say, when he will finish. Okay? Because the same words, the same words, the same words, the same words every day. And comes from here, maybe the Imam is thinking of something. And the people themselves, they don't feel it. They don't feel that there is something coming from this dua. They know, this is something sunnah now. We have to do it. If we don't do it, then we are in a problem. Another example of this, when you will find, the people, they are praying in the middle of Sha'ban. Some families here, if someone say to them, no, don't go in the middle of Sha'ban and don't pray, it is as you are committing kufr. What are you talking about? This is the night where Allah will forgive the people when Allah did do this, and all your sins will be forgiven, and your rizq will be written on that night. So if you say don't go and pray on that night, as you are saying something, kufr al-iyadu billah, which is relied on a weak hadith. There's no authentic hadith supporting that you go and spend the whole night of Sha'ban to do the prayers. The problem with the people, when they start practicing the bid'ah, they lose the sunnah. And unfortunately, you'll find the people, they practice the bid'ah more than practicing the sunnah. Now, what Uthman radiallahu anh did here in this situation, there is a reason, and he's the Imam of Muslims, the Imam Muslim, the Imam of the Muslimin. He has the authority to create something for the people within the deen, within the essence of the deen, within the understanding of the deen, which will benefit the ummah of the Muslims for a reason. If the reason stops, so, for example, say Uthman radiallahu anh finished, his time finished. Just for example, just imagine. And after that, Muawiyah came, and al-Hajjaj at that time, just imagination, that he managed to make the speakers. So the reason now finished. The reason of the third call finished, which is Uthman introduced. So Muawiyah at that time, as the Khalifa, he can say, okay, Uthman, he added this for a reason, to benefit the ummah, to make them ready for the salah. Now there is no need for this, so this is cancelled now. That's fine. This is, again, he is the Imam of the Muslims. He can introduce something to the ummah for a reason, within the limits, within the understanding of the Islam, and there is no problem in that. We have to understand this. This is different from me or you or someone else to say, I'd like to do this. He is the Imam of Muslims. He introduced something to the Islam within his authority for a reason, for the benefit of the Ummah. We have to understand it in this regard, and don't go with those who say, oh, this means that we can do anything we like if there is more reward, or if there is, this makes the people closer to Allah and get more hasanat from doing this. So the reason for Uthman radiallahu anh, when he started this, that Muslims became more, he'd like them to get ready for that, and he started it. Now, this adhan continued after Uthman until now. So, if you go to any place in Muslim world, you will find in most of the places there is 3 adhan. One, maybe half an hour before Jumu'ah, and the Jumu'ah one, then the Iqamah. Shaykh al-Albani rahmatullah alayhi spoke in details about this in a small book called الأجوبة النافعة الأجوبة النافعة لأسئلة الجامعة, something like this. And it is the beneficial answers for the questions of the university. The University of Damascus that time, the students, they sent to the Sheikh, Rahmatullah alayhi, some questions regarding al-Jumu'ah. And one of them was this adhan, the three adhan. And also about Sunnah al-Qabliya, the people they are praying Sunnah al-Qabliya before Salat al-Jumu'ah. And Sheikh Rahmatullah alayhi explained that matter in that book, in the way that what I said is just summarize what he said in that book, that the third adhan introduced for that purpose. Now, these days, that purpose by the loudspeakers finished. Not only by the loudspeakers, the timing. The people, they know the time now. So, wherever you go, now in every masjid, there is timetable. On the websites, there is timetable. On the phone, there is timetable. So, there is no excuse for anyone these days to say, I don't know the time of the salah. Even Muslim countries now, wherever you go, you can hear the adhan. Wherever you go. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. You hear the adhan, not from one masjid, sometimes from 20 masjid in the same time you hear the adhan in the same time. So the reason for what Uthman radiallahu anhu established is finished. So we should go back to the original type of the adhan, the first adhan, then the iqamah. Now, if we go back to this means that there is no sunnah qabliya, because what the people they do in some masjid, in some masajid, what they, as I said, only between the two adhans, only five minutes. So what the people will do, when the first adhan called, you'll find the whole masjid stand up and start praying sunnah. 2, 4, I saw in some masajids they pray 6 or 8, and then they say this is sunnah, this is nafil. I don't know how they differentiate between all these things. And they consider this sunnah al-qabliya is part of Salat al-Jumu'ah. And when we go back to the practice of the Prophet ﷺ, we'll find nothing called sunnah qabliya. If you remember what I said last week, there is hadith from Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu that in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam he said that when you come to the masjid, or if it is the day of Jumu'ah, then nice clothes, perfume, walk to the masjid. Then when you reach there, pray as much as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrote to you. Then listen to the Imam. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive you between the two Jumu'ah. And Abu Hurairah said, and plus 3 days. So this hadith Abu Hurairah and hadith Ibn Umar, that Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, when he used to come to the masjid, he will pray as much as he can. Then he will pray 2 rak'ah after Salat al-Jumu'ah. So, from these 2 hadiths, we'll find that before the Salah, it is not limited. It's not limited. It's not 2, 4, 6, 8. It is only what you can. If you come early, you'd like to pray to 2, fine. 4, fine. 6, 8, 12. It depends on the time you have. And you can do that. But to limit yourself to say, no, it is only 2, it is only 4, it is only 6, it's only 8, this is no authentic sunnah to support this idea. And again, the practice of the Prophet ﷺ, he used to come straight away and start the khutbah. So when the people will pray the sunnah then, they will not pray the sunnah. If it is sunnah qabliya, because sunnah qabliya, the sunnah which before is between the adhan and the iqamah. Now, when we talk about Salat al-Dhuhr, when we pray the Sunnah Qabliya, between Adhan al-Dhuhr and the iqamah, Iqamat Salat al-Dhuhr. This is the time. Now, in the day of Jumu'ah, according to the practice of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what is the people will do between adhan and iqamah? What they will do? Listen to the khutbah. So there is no sunnah qabliyah here. No sunnah qabliyah. And the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when that man he came, while Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam delivering the khutbah, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't ask him, did you pray sunnah qabliyah or not? He asked him about Tahiyat al-Masjid. And he said to him, stand, إِذَا قُمْ فَصَلِّ رَكَعَتَيْنِ. So sunnah al-qabliyah doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. The thing which exists is that you can pray before Jumu'ah what you can and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrote to you. And after that, when the Imam starts the khutbah, you sit and listen to the khutbah of the Imam. So this here, as Sheikh Sayyid Sabiq rahmatullah alayhi mentioned, that the Prophet ﷺ used to come and face the people, and it is narrated that sometimes the Nabi ﷺ will be on the minbar and the people will be around him. So it's not necessary that they will be in rows during the khutbah. During the khutbah, it's not necessary. So the people can be coming together. As I mentioned many times here, when we listen to the dars, it's better that we'll come together, because there is many hadith to support that. So even in Salatul Jumu'ah, the Imam can be in the middle, there, and the people can be around him, and this is narrated in authentic hadith. Sheikh al-Albani rahmatullah alayhi mentioned that. Ahmad and the Nasai recorded Bilal would make the adhan to Salah when the Prophet ﷺ sat up on the minbar, and he would make the iqamah when the Prophet ﷺ came down from the minbar. Adil ibn Thabit relates from his father on the authority of his grandfather, who said, when the Prophet ﷺ ascended the minbar, he would face his companions. And this is related by Ibn Majah. Concerning this later hadith, although there is some doubt about it, At-Tirmidhi says, the people of knowledge from among the companions and others follow that, and they prefer that the Imam face the people when delivering the khutbah. And Shaykh al-Albani is saying this hadith is sahih, hadith At-Tirmidhi. Now, what should be in the khutbah? Is there anything to say that the khutbah has arkan, so pillars, that if you miss any of them, then the khutbah is invalid? Actually, there isn't anything in the Sunnah to support that the khutbah has arkan, that must have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you miss one of them, then the khutbah invalid. But there is a way how the Prophet ﷺ used to deliver the khutbah. It is preferred that the Friday khutbah include praises of Allah, the exalted, praise upon the Prophet, admonition, and Quranic recitation. Now, where we get all this information from? From the hadith. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reports that the Prophet ﷺ said, every speech that does not begin with the praise of Allah is defective. And this is related by Abu Dawud. Another version, it stated, the Friday khutbah that does not contain the testimony, there is no God except Allah and Muhammad ﷺ is his messenger, is like the defective hand. And this is related by Ahmad. Ibn Mas'ud reports that the Prophet ﷺ would say in his opening testimony, all praise be to Allah, we seek his aid and we seek his forgiveness, and we seek refuge in Allah from the evil of our souls. Whomever Allah guides, no one will be able to mislead him. Whoever he leaves astray will have no guidance for him. And I testify that there is no God except Allah, and that Muhammad ﷺ is his slave and his messenger, whom he sent with the truth and as a warner before the hour. Whoever obeys Allah and his messenger will be guided aright, and whoever disobeys them will only harm own self, and he will not harm Allah the Exalted at all. Now here, Sheikh Sayyid Sabiq, rahmatullah alayhi, he mentioned one of the narrations about Khutbah al-Hajah. What we mean by Khutbah al-Hajah? Now, Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam used to say a certain statements when he start the khutbah on Friday and on the other occasions. Shaykh al-Albani rahmatullah alayhi, he gathered all the narrations regarding that in a small book called Khutbah al-Hajah. It's a very beautiful book, and it is the one, maybe you notice I'll start my lessons with it all the time, alhamdulillah. Start trying to follow the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Inna alhamdulillah, nahmuduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh. In some narration, natubu ilayh, in some narration, there is no natubu ilayh. But all the time, if there is any addition in a hadith, I'd like to use it, because this means the more reward. Wa natubu ilayh. Wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Then mention these three ayahs from Surah Al-Imran, from Surah An-Nisa, and from Surah Al-Ahzab. Now, maybe one day we'll talk in details about this great khutbah, because some of the things that when the Muslim they use it a lot, they forget the main meaning and the main objective behind it. The three ayahs the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioning here in this khutbah talks about taqwa, to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله. So, taqullah, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the main objective of any khutbah. If any khutbah doesn't increase your knowledge about Allah, doesn't increase your understanding of your deen, so you'll be closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not a khutbah. The khutbah, the main target, the main objective of any khutbah, any lesson, even what we are doing now, why we are doing this explanation, to understand our deen, so we can worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a right way, and this will make us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, when you look at the ayahs that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to recite in Khutbah al-Hajah, ittaqullah, ittaqullah, ittaqu rabbakum, fear Allah, fear your Lord. This is the main objective. If the khatib delivers the khutbah and he didn't encourage the people to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no point of the khutbah. No point. The people, they come and listen, and they like to understand, to be closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the reminder of the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very important, because brothers, we are weak. We are human beings. We have our shortcomings. We need a reminder. This is why فَذَكِّرْ إِن نَفَعَتِ الذِّكْرَى. ذكر إن الذكرى تنفع المؤمنين. تذكير, we need تذكير. We need the reminders all the time. In every salah we say اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Subhanallah. In every salah I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide me to the straight path. In every salah. Because I am a human being. I might go astray. Something might affect me. Maybe a friend or a shaitan person come and play with my brain and make me go astray. We have our desires. ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها. In the nafs, in your nafs, there are the two. Al-fujur, going astray. Taqwa, staying on the right path. So قد أفلح من زكاها, he is successful, the one who purifies his nafs. وقد خاب من دساها, he is failure, the one who will be misguided or misled or follow the right path. So we need this reminder. And when you look at the details of khutbah al-haja, so it starts with alhamd lillah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this corporate with the salah. Salah started with what? When you read Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. The khutbah started with what? Hamd. This cooperating with what you say the first, when you wake up in the morning, what you say? Alhamdulillah alladhi ahyana ba'da ma amatana wa ilayhi nushur. So corporation, hamd. You have to remember hamd. Inna alhamdulillah nahmuduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh. So remind the people who are listening, استعانة بالله, إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين, ونستغفره, seeking Allah forgiveness, نتوب إليه, repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then remind the people that any hidayah we have, any guidance we have is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we will ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make all of us on the right path all the time. Ameen. Then you renew your covenant. As in the salah, in every tashahhud, what we say? Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu Muhammad Rasulullah. In every khutbah, again, the Imam remind the people of the shahada. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. Remind the people that to follow Allah, to follow the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. As I said, there is a lot of beautiful things in this khutbah al-haja, which alhamdulillah you'll find now many people by Allah's will, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward Shaykh al-Albani rahmatullah alayhi a great reward for it. Jazallah khair an al-ummah, because he re-established this great sunnah. And mashallah, now I'll go, many people, even they have maybe the only thing in Arabic they know is this khutbah. I listen to some drus from non-Arabic speaker, and you'll find them, mashallah, all of them starting, or most of them starting with khutbah al-haja. Anyone who would like to follow the sunnah now, you'll find them, they are starting with khutbah al-haja, which means that the people, alhamdulillah, who understand the sunnah, they go back to the sunnah of Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. So Shaykh al-Albani in Tamam al-Minna, he said that I wish that Sayyid Sabiq rahmatullah alayhi, he put the full text of Khutbah al-Hajj in his book Fiqh as-Sunnah, because it is a very good book, or a great book for the fiqh. So he should include Khutbah al-Hajj when he spoke about the khutbah, what's the content of the khutbah. Jabir ibn Samurah said, the Messenger of Allah would deliver his khutbah standing, would sit in between the two khutbahs, would recite some verses, and would remind the people about Allah. And this is related by a group, save al-Bukhari and at-Tirmidhi. So here in this hadith, we'll find 2-3 facts. The first fact, that the Prophet ﷺ used to deliver the khutbah while he is standing. And this is the way that the Sahaba, Ridwanullah, the Khulafa, until now, the people, they continue to do this. They are delivering the khutbah while they are standing. The second thing, that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to recite some verses. So it's not only saying, it is verses. And this is important, because when you are talking about a subject, you need to support your subject by dalil, by burhan. So, and the dalil, the burhan, is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The best reminder to the people is the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the saying of the Prophet alayhi salatu wa salam. And this is something you'll find, unfortunately, many of those who are delivering the khutbah, they forget this. I've listened to some khatibs in different places, and some of them, maybe the whole khutbah, they say one ayah only, or two ayahs, and even you will not hear any ayah, especially those who deliver it in different language sometimes. So we have to remember that when you use the Quran is the best tool of da'wah, the best tool of reminding the people about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the manhaj, the way of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, which is in this hadith. He used to deliver the khutbah standing, would sit in between the two khutbahs, would recite some verses. So the first benefit from this hadith, that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to stand while delivering the khutbah. The second benefit is he will sit between the two khutbah, as the people they are doing now. So he will deliver the first khutbah, sit for a little while, then he stand and deliver the second khutbah. Now, what the people make bid'ah in the khutbah, when they started to make the first khutbah is to deliver the khutbah, and the second only for the dua, nothing else. Now, this wasn't the manhaj of Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. So it was, in a way, two khutbahs. The first khutbah, the second khutbah. Yes, maybe in the second khutbah there will be dua, but it is not all of it dua and salah ala nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. So the two khutbahs, the two parts of the speech is khutbah, the two parts of them. To make the first one only for the khutbah, the subject that you'd like to talk about, and the second one only for the dua, now this is bid'ah. It's not the way of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. So if you have a subject, you divide it between the two khutbah. The third thing, as I mentioned, that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to recite some verses and would remind the people about Allah. So the fourth thing that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to remind the people about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in this hadith, four things. The first thing, the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to deliver the khutbah while he's standing. He used to sit between the two khutbahs. He used to recite Quran during the khutbah, and he used to remind the people about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The obligatory nature of Salatul Jumu'ah is also obvious from the hadith recorded by al-Bukhari and Muslim from Abu Hurairah, that the Prophet ﷺ said, "We are the last of the people to come, but the first on the day of resurrection. They received their books before us, and we got ours after them. This day was obligatory upon them, but they differ concerning it, and Allah guided us, the people, therefore follow us. The Jews tomorrow and the Christians the day after tomorrow." And we explained this hadith before, that Allah guided us to Friday, so we are the first ummah, and the Jews will be on Saturday and the Christians will be on Sunday. Jabir also related that the Prophet ﷺ would not make his admonition on a Friday too long, but give a very short khutbah, and this is related by Abu Dawud. When you look in the hadith books or the seer books to see the khutbahs of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you will find the khutbahs of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam short. You will not find the khutbah, it is 5-6 pages. Despite that once he made a long khutbah. But generally speaking, the khutbah of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was short. Now there is people now saying this means that now we have to make it short. Now I don't agree with this. Not because we don't want to follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but we have to understand the idea of the khutbah. Now we have to remember, in the time of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, the people, the Sahaba who was around him, they are Arab, they understand Arabic. Nabi ﷺ used to speak to the point. He mentioned, "Utitu jawami al-kalim." What's the meaning of jawami al-kalim? That I will speak about one subject, short, to the point. So the one who is listening can understand. And the people, their reception of what the Nabi ﷺ used to be, not what you mean by that. No. It was سمعنا وأطعنا. We listen and we adhere. This was they used to do. So Nabi ﷺ stand there and he said, for example, in hadith, when he spoke about silk and gold, and he said this is halal for the male, for the female, and haram for the female. About the silk and the gold, wearing them. So the people didn't argue about this. Oh, okay, if it is half of it silk and half of it cotton, what's the situation? Is the silk have to be green or blue or red? The ring, is it with diamond or without diamond? Is it platinum or? That's easy, simple. So he used to speak to the point, and the people, they just receive and follow the Prophet ﷺ. Nowadays, the people, they need more explanation, more evidence, clarification of a lot of matters. So this is why, in my opinion, you have to give enough time for the khutbah. So the people, you can deliver the point that you like to say, the idea you'd like to explain in more details, give enough evidence about it, make the people aware, remind them again and again of the matter, tackle it from different angles. Yarhamukallah. In this way, you reach your objective. Because if you stand there and just say two ayahs and sit down, the people will not benefit because they don't understand what you are saying. So you have to clarify it. Hisham bint Haritha ibn al-Nu'man says, I learned Surah Qaf of the glorious Quran from the Prophet ﷺ, for he recited it upon the minbar every Friday when he addressed the people. And this is related by Ahmad, Muslim, and Nisai, and Abu Dawud. So this means that one of the ways of Prophet ﷺ delivering the khutbah, he used to stand and read Qaf al-Quran al-Majid. Continue. Now why Qaf particularly? Because Qaf talks about the day of judgment. Qaf talks about reminding the people, مَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ إِلَّا لَدَيْهِ رَقِيبٌ عَتِيدٌ. Anything you say, there is two angels recording what you are saying. Talking about أُزْلِفَتِ الْجَنَّةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ غَيْرُ بَعِيدٍ. So about Jannah, about Jahannam, which is really when you sit and contemplate in it, reflect in the surah, this makes you change a lot of the things in your life. You think about al-akhirah, you have to prepare yourself for the akhirah when you read. And even I'll advise you to go really in YouTube, there is some of the beautiful recitation of Surah Qaf, and you'll find the reciter cannot stop crying, and the people behind him cannot stop crying when they read and understand, because they understand what he's saying about Surah Qaf. So this is the idea of Surah Qaf, because it is a reminder of Allah, reminder of Al-Jannah, reminder of Al-Nar, reminder of the Day of Judgment. And so this Sahabiya Ridwanullahi alayha saying that I learned the surah from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There is no problem in repeating the subject when you think that the people, they need this. And the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he knows his Sahaba. He knows them. He knows what they need. And at that time, and all the time, we need reminder after reminder to make our hearts soft and to make our reception of Allah's commands, of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam commands, we receive it in a way that we'll say, سمعنا وأطعنا. Ya'la ibn Umayyah reports that he heard the Prophet ﷺ recite while on the pulpit, remember, and they cry, "O Malik." And this is related by Bukhari and Muslim. So Ya'la ibn Umayyah, he is saying that he heard the Prophet ﷺ, the people of the hellfire, may Allah save all of us from that, وَقَالُوا يَا مَالِكُ ادْعُ لَنَا رَبَّكَ. They will call Malik, call your Lord, that he will ease the adhab of Jahannam, the punishment of Jahannam. But they will say to them, اخسأوا فيها. Stay there and don't ask. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not answer what you are saying, because you had the opportunity when Allah called you and you rejected. Now you are calling and you will be rejected. Nasullaha fanasiyahum. They forgot Allah, Allah on that day will forget them. Why shall He will remember them? He gave them opportunity. And brothers, this is a reminder to every one of us. Don't forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't forget Allah. Remember Allah all the time. Remember Allah in every action. Remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you do anything. When you buy, when you sell, when you work, when you eat, when you drink, when you talk, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because when you remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not forget you. أنا مع عبدي ما ذكرني. I am with my servant while he is remembering me. They remember not only saying subhanallah, alhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah. This is part of the remembrance. But when you pray, this is dhikr. When you fast, when you make hajj, this is dhikr. When you follow Allah, this is dhikr. So when you remember all the time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is observing you, watching you, this is dhikr in itself. So when you are remembering Him, and this remembrance will stop you from committing a sin, this is dhikr. And Allah will be with you. And Allah will protect you. But when you forget Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Nasullaha fanasiyahum. They forgot Allah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgot them. اليوم ننساهم كما نسوا لقاء يومهم هذا. Today we will forget them because they forgot this day, the day of judgment. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make all of us all the time among the dhakirin. Ameen. Ibn Majah records from Ubaidah, the messenger of Allah recited, blessed is he, Surah al-Mulk, تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير, on Friday while he was standing in al-Rawdan. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, here these three hadiths talking that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he recited Surah Qaf, he recited from Surah al-Zukhruf, وقالوا يا مالك ليقضي علينا ربك, and he recited تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير. Now Siddiq Hassan Khan in Rawda al-Nadiyya said, thus the required khutbah in terms of Islamic law should be modeled after the Prophet ﷺ khutbah, exhorting people to do good and warning them against their consequences of the evil. This is the spirit of the address which the Islamic law has instituted. As to the other contents of the khutbah, like praising Allah, saying prayers upon His Messenger, or reciting a portion of the Quran, none of these is its main purpose, which is to admonish people. It has been customary among the Muslims in the light of the Sunnah that if one wanted to make some sort of proclamation, he would begin with praises of Allah and praise upon His Prophet or something of that nature. Still, that is not the purpose of the khutbah. So, What Sadiq Hassan Khan here saying? Now, when you go here in with full respect to the brothers, with the Hanafi Masjid, so you from Muharram until Dhul Hijjah, you'll hear one khutbah. That it's the same for 5 minutes, the same khutbah the whole year, which is in Arabic, because they consider that the khutbah must be in Arabic. It's not in Arabic. This means that the khutbah is invalid, or the whole salah invalid. Now, some people or some khutbah, they recite same frame, so the same text, 5, 6 lines or 20 lines, the same, and they say them in one go. They memorize them and they say them after, and every Friday the same words, the same words, the same words, the same words. You remember, as I said earlier, until what they are saying lose the effect of it. Now, hear what Siddiq Hassan Khan is saying, that the people now, they try to be all the time, or the people who are delivering the khutbah, ayah, hadith, dua, salah ala nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's saying these are for a purpose, not you have to say them as a part of the khutbah. You should not keep saying the same ayah every week, because you think, oh, if I don't say it, the khutbah is invalid, or if they don't say the salah, the khutbah is invalid. All of these has a purpose. So you have to say these things for a purpose and choose the right words for that purpose. This is what he meaning by that. Indeed, the purpose is that which is said after praises of Allah and praise for the Prophet. If a person delivers a khutbah and confines it to only praising Allah and saying prayers upon the Prophet, his khutbah would hardly be acceptable. So someone start, Inna alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam ala rasulullah, and come down. So the people will not benefit from that, because he just limited it to only these two things. But when this is part of the khutbah, and after that, between that, he remind the people, admonish the people about Allah, this is the idea. And he's saying any person with common sense could understand that. It is admonitory aspect of the Friday khutbah which the hadith emphasizes, and if a khatib makes an admonition, he fulfills the purpose of the sharia. If he precedes his khutbah with praises of Allah and praise upon the Prophet ﷺ during his admonition, he used Quranic verses, then he does it in a complete and satisfactory manner. So this is what he's saying, that when you praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make salah on Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, remind the people about Allah, in this way you fulfill the idea of the khutbah. Your khutbah complete, the people understand it, you remind the people about Allah, you praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you make salah on Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In this way your khutbah is fine. The next point that Sheikh Sayyid Sabiq Rahmatullah Alayhi mentioned, posture during and between the khutbahs. It is proper for the Imam to stand for the two khutbahs and to sit for a short while in between them. Ibn Umar said, when the Prophet ﷺ would deliver the khutbah al-Jumu'ah, he did so standing, and then he would sit, and then he would stand again for the second khutbah, as the people do today. So this is what Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma said. And this is related by the group. So this was the way of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Stand, deliver the khutbah, sit down, stand again, and deliver the second khutbah. Jabir ibn Samura said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would deliver the khutbah while standing, and then he would sit, and then he would stand and speak again. Whoever says that he gave the khutbah while sitting has lied. Because there was an event, one of the governors or khulafa after that, he delivered the khutbah while he's sitting. So the Sahaba who were available at that time, they refuted that, and they said this is not the Sunnah. So in this hadith, Jabir radiallahu anh here is saying, this is why he's saying this, the one who's saying that he was sitting is a liar. So listen to this hadith again. The Prophet would deliver the khutbah while standing, and then he would sit, and then he would stand and speak again. Whoever says that he gave the khutbah while sitting has lied. So anyone tried to support that governor at that time to say this is right and this is acceptable, he is lying. This is not from the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Verily I prayed with him more than 2,000 prayers. So here doesn't mean 2,000 prayers, 2,000 Jumu'ah, because this means that he prayed behind him about 40 years. He means by that this includes the daily prayers, which is 5 times a day. And this is related by Ahmad, Muslim, and Abu Dawud. Tawus said, the Prophet ﷺ gave the khutbah while standing, and so did Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman. The first one to give khutbah while sitting up on the pulpit was Muawiyah. Ibn Abi Shaybah also records from Shabi that Muawiyah used to deliver the khutbah while sitting when he became overweight. Some of the scholars say that it is obligatory to deliver the khutbah while standing, and it is also obligatory to sit in between the two khutbahs. And they cite the example of the Prophet ﷺ and his companions who always did so. However, the fact that they constantly perform an act is not sufficient to prove that it is fard. So we cannot say it is fard to stand, but the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, what he used to do all the time, that he was standing. Now, while you are delivering the khutbah, the Sunnah is to raise your voice, and as we mentioned earlier, to keep the khutbah short and to the point. Ammar ibn Yasir reports that he heard the Messenger of Allah says, prolonging salah and shortening one's khutbah is a sign of one understanding of the religion. So prolong the prayer and shorten the khutbah. This is related by Ahmad and Muslim. Shortening the khutbah and prolonging one's salah shows one's understanding of religion. For such a person is able to comprehend and express much in a few words. As I explained earlier, the difference between that time and this time about the shortening the khutbah. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he's saying here, so when you shorten the khutbah and prolonging the salah, this means that you understand. And in Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when you look, the way that what he used to recite in Salat al-Jumu'ah, he used to recite Sabbih Isma Rabbika al-A'la and al-Ghashiyah, and sometimes al-Jumu'ah al-Munafiqun, which is, in a way, it's long surahs. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he used to make the salah long and the khutbah short, but again, remember, he was the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and he used to be talking to the point. Jabir ibn Samar said, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was of a moderate length, and so was his khutbah. This is related by the group, save al-Bukhari and Abu Dawud. Abdullah ibn Abi Awfa reports, the salah of the Messenger of Allah was long and his khutbah it was short. And this is related by Nisa'i with a sahih chain. Jabir informs, when the Prophet ﷺ delivered the khutbah, his eyes became red, his voice rose, and his anger increased, as if giving a warning to the enemy. And this is related by Muslim and Ibn Majah. So Nabi ﷺ, when he used to make the khutbah, marrat ayna, his eyes would become red, his voice is loud, as he's a warner that there is enemy coming to attack you. And we can understand the reason behind this. Remember what I said earlier, that the idea of the khutbah to remind the people about Allah. And when you give all your emotions as a khatib and passion with the khutbah, this will affect the people who are listening. And we know now, we don't talk about the khatib here, about politicians. Look how they deliver when they speak. So they choose the words, the body language, and all these things to affect the people who are listening. And you can't say, this is a good speaker, this is a bad speaker. Now in Khutbah al-Jumu'ah, I've seen some brothers, mashallah, when you listen to them, you can see that really the khutbah comes from their heart. And there is others, they come, alhamdulillah, قال النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام والصلاة والسلام انتهى, finished. So you don't feel that maybe the khutbah, the ideas of the khutbah great, the idea, the information in the khutbah great, but doesn't go to your heart. And sometimes the people, they go to sleep because the person, especially if he talks for half an hour or more, now when you listen to many of the great sheikhs who are delivering the khutbah al-Jumu'ah, you can see one of the famous khatibs was Sheikh Abdul Hamid Kishk in Egypt. He has some mistakes, but I'm talking about the style. Because of the style of the khutbah, at that time they told me, the people of Egypt, his masjid, if you'd like to go to Jum'ah, you have to go after Fajr to book a place. And then the streets around it will be blocked. I've seen one of the great Salafi Sheikh in Egypt now, Sheikh Muhammad Hassan called. I saw on the TV that all around the masjid is full. The streets blocked. There's no cars going. Because when you listen to him, the way he delivered the khutbah, he touched the people's needs. Talk about the daily life, something touches your heart, and give evidence, sunnah, hadith, certain things that happen, events. So when you hear it, you come out from the khutbah with something. There is another one, he comes on Al-Rahma TV called, I think, Hazim Shuman. When you hear him, you think that this person will break down now in tears and these things. The way he's delivering what he's saying. It depends sometimes on the subject. But my understanding that if you would like to deliver a khutbah and affect the people's hearts, reminding them about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to reach their hearts. You have to shake them up, to wake them up. Because if you just read it, sit at home, leave anyone else to read it. Why you bother to come from a distance and just read the khutbah and salamu alaykum wa alaykum salam, finish. So really, this is our Imam. Who is our Imam? The Prophet ﷺ. This is what he used to do. Sabbahakum massakum. This is what the hadith say. That he'd like saying, the enemy will come in the morning or the evening. Just imagine that there's an enemy coming to attack Bedford. So you'll find the BBC and the Sky, they're saying, warning the people 24 hours that something happened. And they will not say, okay, listen, there is something. You'll find all the politicians, warn the people there. And this is what the hadith say, that he used to say, his eyes became red, his voice rose, and his anger increased, as if giving a warning to the enemy. In Arabic, في العربي, كأنه منذر جيش يقول صبحكم مساكم. As he's a warner of enemy, saying صبحكم, he will come in the morning or in the evening. You can imagine, the emotions and the way that warner will speak. Because if he comes to the people and say, okay, the enemy is coming now. So the people say, are you joking? Okay. So he has to give the words that he's saying a meaning, and in this way the khutbah will make a change in the hearts of the people. And Nawawi says it's prepared for the khutbah to be in an eloquent and proper Arabic, and it should be an organized speech that the people can understand. It should not be a speech which is over the heads of the people, nor should it be shallow or contain fool language, as that would defeat its purpose. Its words should be chosen carefully to make them attractive and meaningful. What a beautiful words, Imam Nawawi rahmatullah alayhi. So here, believe me brothers, some scholars, when you read the words, you can see the knowledge comes from every single word. Rahmallahu al-Imam al-Nawawi. May Allah forgive him and bless him and reward him for all his efforts to serve this deen. So he's saying, you know, again, to affect the people, the khutbah should be eloquent, proper Arabic. And when you speak to the people, you have to understand the level of the people. If you are delivering your khutbah in a university and all the people in that masjid, educated people, so the words that you are using, the style should be a little bit, you know, suit these people. Because if you talk to them in a normal language, they will not listen to you, because you know they have an idea about this. But the way you put it, choosing the words, will affect them and make them listen to you. And again, if you come to a masjid and all of them working class people, normal people, they're educated, mashallah, they're nice, normal people. And then you start to use, in English for example, very, very push words. And you say, what? Say it again, please. If they have the chance, will say it again. And or maybe some of them start to look at the iPhone, what's the meaning of of this word? So you have, when you deliver a khutbah in Arabic or English or Urdu or Bengali, so you have to understand the style, the level of the people that you are talking about. You don't go to a school, you know, and they are 12, 13 years old and they are praying there, and start to talk to them about complicated issues in the Aqidah. They come and go without understanding anywhere. So you have to choose the subject, the idea, the words that will benefit, because the purpose is to benefit the people. Here we come to the language in itself. Now, the language of the Khutbah al-Jumu'ah, it wasn't an issue before. You know, because when Muslims used to conquer a new area, because they are the conquered, then they will spread the language, the Arabic. So the people will start learning Arabic. This is why now the people in Syria or Iraq or this, before that, they don't speak Arabic. They speak different language. In North Africa, the people, they used to speak this language. They call it now Amazighiya, which is Berber language. But why these people learned Arabic? And again, in Africa, in Nigeria, and these things, if you find a book from 3-4 generations, you'll find the people, the Muslims there, all of them they know Arabic and speak Arabic, because it was, the lifestyle was Islamic and Arabic part of it. Now, unfortunately, when the Arab, they lost most of them lost their identity, and Muslims defeated, then the other languages became overcome. This is why I'm delivering this in English now. Okay? Otherwise, I have to say it in Arabic. So, now, this idea or this matter of can we deliver the khutbah in Arabic, in English or Urdu or Turkish or these things? Now, many of the scholars, Bin Baz, Bin Uthaymeen, Sheikh Al-Albani, they said, if the majority of the people in an area, they don't understand Arabic, then you speak in the language they are understanding. Because this is the idea of Khutbah al-Jumu'ah. The idea is that the people will understand. Now, if the people, half of them Arab, half of them African, so you can make the khutbah two parts. One part in Arabic, one part in African. So two parts, the two parts will understand the thing. And I found one of the fatwas, I cannot remember who is now, that the khatib, when he delivered it in different language, let him say the ayahs and the hadith in Arabic to make the people familiar with listening to the ayahs and the hadith in Arabic, rather saying everything in English, because this will, make them away from the Arabic, away from the Quran. So the conclusion is, it is permissible to deliver the khutbah in different language for the benefit of the people. Ibn al-Qayyim said about the khutbah of Prophet ﷺ reinforced the fundamental articles of faith, like belief in Allah, the Exalted, His angels, His books, His messengers, and the meeting with Him. He would mention the paradise and the hellfire and what Allah, the Exalted, has promised to His devoted servants and the people who obey Him, and what Allah has promised to His enemies and the miscreants. While listening to his khutbah, the hearts would be filled with belief in Allah, His oneness, and His majesty. His khutbahs were not like speeches of those who speak only of matters of concern of common folk, lamenting earthly life and frightening people of the approaching death. Such speeches cannot inspire faith in Allah or strengthen belief in His oneness, or move people by allusion to His mighty works in history, nor can they kindle in heart intense love for Allah, making the listeners look forward eagerly to the time they will meet Him. The people who hear such speeches gain no benefit at all, except that they will die and that their wealth will be distributed and their bodies will be turned to dust. Here Ibn Qayyim is talking about, you will find some khutbah, the only subject they are talking about, death, and death is coming, and prepare yourself because your money will be distributed. You'll die and your wealth will be distributed. This is the main idea of the khutbah. He's saying the words here, remind the people about Allah, remind the people about the punishment, about the rewards, but don't make death is the main subject all the time. You are talking about one subject. Woe to such poets, this Ibn Qayyim say, what sort of faith is fostered by such sermons, and what sort of tawheed do they teach or knowledge? If we study the khutbahs of the Prophet ﷺ and his companions, we find them imbued with precious guidance, tawheed, attributes of Allah, explaining the basic articles of faith, inviting people to Allah and drawing their attention to His providential care that make Him so beloved to His slaves. So the khatib should make the people try to be close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, love Him more, not all the time frightening the people from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Khawfan wa tama'an, fear and hope. His khutbahs refer to Allah's dealing with others in the past so as to warn His listeners against His wrath and exhort them to remember Him, thank Him and win His pleasure and love. Those who heard these khutbahs were inspired with the love of Allah and they looked forward eagerly to meeting their Lord. As time went by, the example of the Prophet ﷺ was forgotten. This is what Imam al-Qayyim rahmatullah alayhi said. And other things prevailed. The main purpose of the khutbah was forgotten. The eloquent and nice words that moved the hearts became rare in speeches. The main thirst of the khutbah was neglected. The hearts were no longer touched, and the basic purpose of the khutbah was lost. So this is what Imam al-Qayyim talking about his time. Now, if Imam al-Qayyim comes to our time and see the type of khutbahs in many masajid, he will close the book and stop writing. Because really, in some places, you know, the way that the people are making khutbahs really is awful. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide them. There is only 2 subjects left, so bear with me another 10 minutes inshallah. The Imam interrupting his khutbah for some reason. Can the Imam interrupt his khutbah for some reason? Yes. Abu Hurairah reports the Prophet ﷺ was delivering a khutbah, and Al-Hasan and Al-Hussein, his grandsons, came, and they were wearing 2 red shirts and they were tripping while walking. The Prophet came down from the pulpit and picked them up and placed them in front of himself. And then he said, Allah and his messenger have told the truth. Verily, your wealth and children are a trial. إنما أموالكم وأولادكم فتنة. I looked to these 2 children walking and tripping, and I could not be patient, so I cut off my khutbah and went to pick them up. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did that to Al-Hasan and Hussein, and I mentioned this in previous lesson, that this shows us the children in the mosque, in the masjid, the responsibility of their parents or grandparents, not to leave them going around without any control. And this is related by the 5. Abu Rifa'a al-Adu says, I went to the Prophet ﷺ while he was delivering a khutbah, and I said, O Messenger of Allah, this strange man has come to ask about his religion, and he does not know what his religion is. So he went to the Prophet ﷺ and asked him to teach a person. The Prophet ﷺ turned to me and left his speech. He was delivering the khutbah. He went to that man and started. He turned to me and left his speech. He came to me and he was given a wooden chair with 4 iron legs, and he started to teach me what Allah had taught him, and then he went back to complete his khutbah. And this is related by Muslim and in Islam. So if there is a reason to cut the khutbah, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did that. To teach a person his deen, he cut the khutbah, spoke to the person, taught him, then he came back and completed the khutbah. Ibn Qayyim writes, the Prophet ﷺ would interrupt his khutbah due to some reason or to respond to a question from some of his companions. Sometimes he would descend from the pulpit due to some need and then return and complete his khutbah. And he did when he picked up Al-Hasan al-Hussein, he took them and then returned with them to the pulpit. Sometimes he would interrupt his khutbah to say things to certain people, like sit when he, some people stand up to pray. And so sometimes he ordered them to take care of certain things during his khutbah. So the khatib can talk to the people in the masjid about certain things. It is forbidden to speak during the khutbah. The majority of the scholars are of the opinion that it is obligatory to be silent during the khutbah, and one is not to indulge in conversation during the khutbah, not even if it is to order one to do some good or to stop some evil. And this rule applies whether or not the person sitting in the mosque can actually hear the khutbah. Ibn Abbas reported that the Prophet ﷺ said, this hadith was mentioned, Sayyid Sabir, I read it, but it is da'if. Whoever speaks in Jumu'ah while the Imam is delivering the khutbah is like a donkey who is carrying books, and for those who tell him to be quiet, there is no reward for the Jumu'ah. This hadith is da'if. Abdullah ibn Umar reports that the Messenger of Allah said there are 3 types of people who attend the Jumu'ah. 1, a man who is present by speaks during the speech, and that is his portion of the prayer. 2, a man who is present and makes supplications. In his case, Allah may give him what he asked if he wishes, or he may not give him what he asked. 3, a person who is present and observes silence and does not step over the necks of the Muslims, no harm anyone for him. There is expiation from that Jumu'ah until the next Jumu'ah, plus an additional 3 days, as Allah has said, he that does good shall have 10 times as much to his credit. This is related by Ahmad, Abu Dawood with good chain. Abu Hurairah reports that the Prophet ﷺ said, if during the Jumu'ah while the Imam is delivering the khutbah, you tell your companion to be quiet, then you have spoken needlessly. And this is related by the group. إذا قلت لصاحبك والإمام يخطب يوم الجمعة أنصت فقد لغوت. So you have spoken needlessly. Abu Darda says the Prophet ﷺ was up on the pulpit and was addressing the people, and he recited a verse, and next to me was Ubay ibn Ka'b, and I asked him, listen, when was that verse revealed? So he asked the one who's next to him. Here he's asked about deen, not about the car or the children or the money. He said, when that verse revealed, he refused to talk to me until the Messenger of Allah came down from the pulpit, and then he said to me, you have nothing from your Jum'ah except your useless talk. So Ubay said to Abu Darda, you gain nothing, especially use useless talk. And what was the useless talk? He asked him about when the ayah revealed. When the Prophet ﷺ had finished, I went to him and informed him of what had happened. And he said, Ubay has told the truth. So what Ubay said to you is the truth. If you hear your Imam speaking, be quiet until he is finished. And this is related by Ahmad and At-Tabarani. Ahmad and Shafi'i are reported to have made a distinction concerning this ruling between one who can hear the speech and the one who cannot hear the speech, saying that speaking is forbidden for the former and not for the later. So if they are saying, if you hear the speech, it is haram. If you cannot hear the speech, so it's fine. But this is refuted by others. And so the ruling is during the khutbah, it is forbidden to talk. This is the conclusion. Now, if someone comes to the masjid while the Imam praying Jumu'ah, if he comes in the first rak'ah, there is no problem. He prayed the 2 rak'ah. If he catch him in the second rak'ah, there is hadith. Ibn Umar reports that the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever catches only 1 rak'ah of the salah and then adds to it the other one, his prayer will be completed. So, you come in the second rak'ah, before the ruku' or during the ruku' and catch the Imam there, then it is salah. You consider that you prayed salat al-Jumu'ah. If you catch 1 rak'ah. Now, if you didn't catch 1 rak'ah, so if you came after the ruku', then the most authentic, you asked me about this last week, and I found that the most authentic is that you pray dhuhr if you missed the 2 rak'ahs. If you came after the ruku', if you came in the sujood or nearly before the taslim, so you pray 4 rak'ah dhuhr. And I think there is hadith of this. And Bulugh al-Maram al-Hajar says that it is sahih about this. Abu Hurairah reports that the Prophet ﷺ, whoever catches 1 rak'ah of the prayer has indeed caught the whole prayer. This is related by the group. Whoever catches less than 1 rak'ah of the salah has not caught the Jumu'ah, and he is to pray 4 rak'ahs of dhuhr, according to the majority of the scholars. Ibn Mas'ud says, whoever catches 1 rak'ah from al-Jumu'ah is only to add another one to it. Whoever misses both rak'ah is to pray 4 rak'ahs. And this is related by Tabarani with a good chain. Ibn Umar says, if one catches from the Friday Salah 1 rak'ah, then he is to add another one to it. If he catches only the sitting at the end of the prayer following the bound, then he is to pray 4 rak'ah. This is related by Bayhaqi, such is the opinion of the Shafi'i, Maliki and Hanbali schools, and Muhammad ibn al-Hasan from the Hanafi school. Abu Hanifa and Abu Yusuf say that if one catches the tashahhud with the Imam, then he has caught al-Jumu'ah. So this is the opinion of Abu Hanifa and Abu Yusuf. He should pray 2 rak'ah after the Imam makes the taslim, and his Friday Salah would be complete. And this is only Abu Hanifa and his student Abu Yusuf. But Muhammad bin Hassan, the other student. So Imam Abu Hanifa has mainly 2 students, Muhammad bin Hassan and Abu Yusuf. Muhammad bin Hassan with the opinion of al-Maliki and al-Hanbali and the Shafi'i that you pray 4 rak'ah, and this is the most important, the most authentic opinion in this matter. Jazakumullah khairan for your patience tonight, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward all of us, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make all of us have more knowledge about our deen. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.